Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heather Hope with wait, that's not right. Conscious Creating with Heather Hope. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. I am super excited to be here again. So I do know that my phone is not in the right spot. So I get it. I'm working on different things. So bear with me. I'm not necessarily new at this, but I'm trying to use a particular app on my phone because it's so much easier to use this particular video app than other things that I have. It just doesn't allow me to do landscape mode. So with that said, today I want to talk about something I've been thinking a lot about in my own personal life. And that is looking back at a past manifestation and kind of dissecting it. And I've done this numerous times in the past. I've done videos, I've done podcast episodes about it. And now I'm looking at it very specifically, the events about it and what I can take from that and what I can share with you on the key aspects of how I manifested this particular thing. Before I get started, I do want to say that I have a lot of things planned. Right now I have email coaching available. The link is down below. Either it's going to be the link to directly sign up or to just email me and I can set you up. And I'm also preparing for a VIP group to open in January, hopefully early January, and get the year started right. I think this is such an amazing time to get really serious about manifesting. So I kind of wish I would have done, I'm looking at starting a challenge, like a 7-day challenge any day now. And I know it's the holidays, but so many of us are like, it doesn't really matter. Like I'm sitting over here manifesting my butt off for Christmas and for New Year's and for next year, that it doesn't really matter to me what time of the year it is. So because I'm manifesting a lot of things for Christmas, and had I thought about this last week, I would have done a 7-day challenge that would end on Christmas, but it's a little too late now. So I'm looking at possibly doing that for New Year's, which would be coming up any day now to get started. I threw it out in my group a couple of weeks ago, and then I had a lot going on. So if you don't know, I do have a free group. I've had it open for a few years now, and I just changed the name to the same name as the YouTube channel, Conscious Creating with Heather Hope. So you can jump in there, get a lot of updates in there. So there's lots of things going on. I have so many ideas. I'm pulling ideas from things I've done in the past and getting new ideas since we're always constantly expanding, right? Okay, so let's get started. I'm so excited. This is actually my office. This is my background in my office. I was inspired the other day. I went on a trip to Lake Havasu. If you've never been to Lake Havasu, it's pretty cool. And it's about 2.5 hours from where I live. And it's where the London Bridge is. It's pretty cool. So I had this really amazing view. Anyway. What was the point of saying that? I forgot. Hopefully I remember. Okay. So I want to talk about the manifestation that I received last year. And it was probably from the title of this video. You already know what it is. If you know me, followed me for the last couple of years, then you know you've heard me talk about this a few times or numerous times, that I moved to California. It was actually like February 13th of 2020. And but I manifested our ocean view home. I want to say I manifested it in 7 days. From the beginning of visualizing to the moment that I stepped foot into the place, 7 days. So let's talk about this. Let's dissect this a little bit. Okay, so probably late 2019, my husband and I, we got married in July of 2019. He proposed to me in Pismo Beach, on the beach at sunset. We spent our honeymoon in Pismo Beach. It was where we had planned on living. Like, we wanted to live in Pismo Beach. We both love California. Now, I live in Arizona. I'm from Arizona. I'm from Phoenix, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley areas. And he's from Boston, outside of Boston, moved to Scottsdale when he was 10, and he's lived in Scottsdale his entire life after that. We actually lived just under a mile away from each other, like my entire childhood, he and I. Anyway, so I found Pismo Beach on a road trip. I wanted to go on this coast to coast, like whole coast of California road trip, and I got the opportunity to do it just a few months later. After I decided I wanted to do it, a few months later, like maybe 3 months later, I got the opportunity to do it, and I did it. It was like about 3/4 of the coast of California. I did that in about a week and a half. And on that trip, I stopped into Pismo Beach. I needed to use the bathroom. So, and warning, this is going to be this is like a story time manifestation. It's going to be a long video and it'll be good. So I stopped in, the very first place I can stop. I walked into this, cool, hip, grocery store there. It's called the California Fresh Market, and, walked in, never been in this area before. And I instantly got this feeling of, I really like this place. I don't know where the hell I am, but I really like it. And I'm like, okay. And I got this feeling. So I'm like walking to the bathroom, walking back, and I call, my boyfriend at the time. And I'm like, I'm not quite sure where I am, but I really like this place, and I think you'd really like it too. No, maybe that was on the way back. Anyway, doesn't matter, but I really like the vibe of it. So I get back in the car, I get back on the highway, and then, just a little tiny bit more on the highway, like tiny bit, like a half mile, not even, I see the ocean. So here we are in this beach town, basically, of the coast of California. It's technically the central coast of California. Anyhow, so I proceed to my destination with this thought of like, wow, that place was really cool. And while I was up in Northern California for a few days for a retreat, I started looking into staying in an Airbnb in Pismo. I was going to take my pit stop there, or take my overnight stop there instead of Ventura. And then I ended up going to La Jolla after that. Anyhow, long story short, this is much more information than you needed to hear. But it was one of those moments of, I stopped. I got this feeling of, I really like this place, and I was intrigued. So then I came back a few days later, stayed the night in the most coolest place I could ever find. It was this house on the end of a street on the cliff, overlooking the beach, overlooking the ocean. The most incredible Airbnb, incredible place I've ever stayed in my life, as in location. So I had this room in the ocean. Well, the ocean was right there, overlooking the ocean, and even the sun was setting in my doorway. Doorways are not that big. In the doorway, where I could lay on my bed and see the sun set right in my doorway frame, like in the doorway. Incredible. It was like $100 a night. So one night I proceeded down this La Jolla, and then I went home. And so, long story short, took Roger there. We love it. He loves it. He proposes there. We spent our honeymoon there. You get the point. Okay, so we decided we wanted to move to Pismo, and so we're up here in Arizona. I'm about 60-ish miles northwest of Phoenix, and so for a while, when you want to move somewhere and you don't have a place yet to move to, you're just kind of like looking, right? You're not quite sure what you're going to, find or get. It's a really small beach community, so it's just really a small place. It's a small town like where I live now. And So places are kind of scarce, and there's all kinds of different places. And it's California, which most people say it's more expensive. I don't find it more expensive than where I live now. I, honest to God, do not. Um, in many, 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 many ways. Yes, gas costs more there. Housing typically costs more there, but you get the ocean. Come on. But rent is not more expensive there at all. Not where I live here. And Phoenix has risen so dramatically that no. Pismo Beach is a gem in itself. It's a gem. So at least my mindset, and this is what sidetrack here. This is what creates California to be like super affordable for us, because I have the mindset that it is not expensive. I really honestly don't find California to be expensive. And I tell people all the time, it's about your perspective. Do you truly believe that it's more expensive, which most people do, then it is. I don't, and so it's not. It is not more expensive there for us to live there. It's just not. Just really isn't. And plus, anyway, that's a whole nother video, but it's all about your perspective. So we will always find good deals. We will always think of most of it as being, it's not much more than where we live now, or it's not at all more. It's the same price, or it's even less. So it's a whole nother video. Anyway, so for a few months I was telling people we're moving to California soon. And of course, don't do this if you have a mindset that it's expensive to go to California or whatever, or if you're sensitive to other people's opinions. I'm not anymore, because I don't care. I honestly don't care, because I know inside me that I get what I want. I get good deals all the time. My mindset is, it's in many ways, it's either the same or cheaper in California than it is here. And most people that have their opinion about California have never been to California, never lived there, never cost comparison. Just take it as it's expensive there. Oh my God, you're crazy to go there. Oh my God, all those. And I loved it at the time. I was like, I'm moving to California, and people would be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you cannot even affect me. You cannot affect my opinion of California, because I know how it is for me. So I love the pushback. I honestly did. So don't do it. Don't do stuff like that if it affects your whatever it is with sorry, my camera's shaking. I've got it on a thing that does bounce. So I'll stop touching the table. So anyway, so for a few months I was like, yeah, we're moving soon. I kept, doing all the things that I learned with law of attraction, and just like, whatever. Really no movement was happening that I can tell. But of course we can't always see movement, but we should be able to see movement. You know what I mean? Like, if you're really doing things. See, now that I'm in the law of assumption and Neville Goddard, now I see movement a million times quicker, because now I know exactly what to do. Now I know what will create movement, and it's a lot quicker. And looking back at this manifestation, I'm knowing, yes, I know exactly what I did, and now I know how to tweak it, and I know how to take that and apply it to everything. So let me tell you what I did. So like I said, I kept telling people we're moving soon. The next couple of weeks we're moving. We had no idea where we were going. Nothing. I kept looking, and nothing, nothing was really panning out. I didn't really want to settle on like a studio just to get there. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted something really special. So during that time, it was January of 2020, I was going every weekend to California to go see Abraham Hicks workshops. So we started in San Diego, then we went to LA, and then we went to Long Beach. I think in that order. So I kept driving to California. So I thought that was helpful that I was in California. I was loving California. I felt like, I even told somebody that I'm living half the time in California, because almost half of January I was in California. Anyway, so I felt that was helping. But there was a week off towards the last week of January that there was no workshop. The next workshop was the first weekend of February, and it was San Francisco. Now, where I live to San Francisco is about a 12-hour drive. I'm not driving 12 hours. Pismo Beach is somewhere between 7.5 to 9 hours, and that's long enough for me. So I sat here in Arizona wondering, how am I getting to San Francisco? And I looked at airfare. I was looking at first class because I really wanted to fly first class, that sort of thing. It's not that far. It's not that expensive. It's nothing. But then if you take you take the airplane, then you need a rental car, and then, like all the details. And I didn't feel like wanting to do all the details. You know what I mean? Like all the travel details. I didn't feel like doing those. I really just didn't. So I remember it was a week prior to San Francisco, a week. And I'm sitting on my couch, and I just remember this moment of like, I don't know, I'm going to figure it out. I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm one that's like, I will never say, oh my God, I can't figure it out, or that this is impossible, or it's just not working out. I never say that. I never ever say that. I was just like, you know what? I was just being chill. I meditate every day. I'm just chilling out, and a way will appear. It will, because I know how this works. I know that if you chill the fuck out, you will figure it out. Like something will come to you. The inspired action will arrive if you can chill out. So I chilled out. So I sat there on the couch, chilling out. And then I got this idea. What if, because I had been easily going to LA. LA is super easy to drive to. So I'm like, well, I could drive to LA again. That's easy, 6.5 hours. And I can stay in LA, and then I can drive up to San Francisco the next day, right? That's pretty good. It'll take, a couple days to get there. Okay, I can do that. And then I started thinking, oh, you know what? I could drive to Pismo. Stay the night in Pismo, and then it's like another 4.5-ish hours from Pismo to San Francisco. That sounds super doable. And bonus, I get to stay in Pismo for a night. And then I'll do the same thing coming back, stay another night in Pismo, and then come back, right? That sounded pretty good. I got excited about that. So when you get an idea and you look at it and you're like, yes, I really like that idea, then do it. That's inspired action right there. So let me tell you, right at that time, that weekend, I started doing a different practice in my morning mindset stuff. I was a huge proponent of morning mindset stuff. I do a lot less of it now because I got bored with it. But let me tell you, that weekend, I started doing 3 things. I would wake up in the morning, do my thing in the morning, and then I would meditate. And then I would take my notebook. I took out the notebook. I found it. It's on my bookshelf of notebooks. So I would meditate for like 20 minutes. Just quiet meditation. And then I would visualize. So my thing at that time I started thinking about, because I'm trying to manifest moving to Pismo Beach during all this, during the whole like going to California every weekend to go see Abraham. In the midst of all that, in the last couple of months, we're trying to move to California. But we're not really seeing any movement. We're not, like, nothing big is happening at all. We're just being hopeful as can be. Like, oh, we're going to spend Christmas in California. We're going to spend New Year's in California, which we did not. We're going to do, and then I started going to Abraham's workshops. So, whatever. Okay. So that weekend, as I got that idea to go to Pismo, to drive to Pismo and then drive to San Francisco, I started a new morning practice. And that was to meditate, visualize. And what I was doing was visualizing my perfect day living in Pismo Beach. Because we visualize like the perfect day. This is some of the coaching stuff that I was teaching at the time, that I was learning at the time, that I've done it for a few years, on and off for a few years of, kind of writing down my perfect day, and then every morning, visualizing that perfect day, writing it down, that sort of thing. Nothing really ever came of it. So that weekend I was doing this. I meditated and then visualized my perfect day living in Pismo Beach. And this is like the perfect day of like being the millionaire, doing my thing, all the things, waking up in my home, all that stuff. And then I would write it down. Whatever I just came out of my visualization, I would write down. That was my morning routine for 7 days. From that weekend to the morning of waking up in Pismo Beach. Okay, so follow the timeline here. So I end up getting this great idea that I was excited about. I wanted to fly first class. I wanted to do all these things. I didn't feel it. I want to say I'm kind of a lazy person, that I don't want to do all these details unless I'm really excited to do it, which is the way that we're taught to do it. Like Bashar talks about it, Abraham talks about it. Everybody talks about like highest excitement, what feels good. This is inspired action. When you just feel good about doing something and you do it, it's inspired. Like you're just doing it. It's autopilot of like, yes, I want to do this. It's not like you have to meditate and be like, okay, what's the inspired action on this? What is it? What is it? What is it? Like trying too hard. It's more about, let me just chill out. Let me just watch some stupid TV on the weekend and let me chill, not stress about how the hell am I getting to San Francisco. Honestly, I didn't even have did I have my ticket yet? I didn't even buy my ticket for the conference because I knew it hadn't sold out. I think I didn't buy it yet. Or maybe I did. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But no, I think I had just bought it a couple days prior. And so a week before, to get airfare, we're looking at much higher prices. And then I'm like, no, I really don't want to do it now, because if I was like not really wanting to do it before, or kind of wanting to do it, but not really, it felt like a lot of work to do it, to just fly, change planes, and then get a rental car and then drive and then blah, blah, blah. Right. Didn't feel exciting. But driving to Pismo and then driving up to San Francisco felt exciting. So I told my husband, that's what I'm going to do. So every morning I meditated, I visualized and this had nothing to do with me going to Pismo. Well, maybe that's where it came from. It probably did come from that, right? But the rest of the week of visualizing and writing things down, basically scripting, right? Led up to the events when I got there. So I'm planning the trip. I'm doing my morning routine. And so I have pages and pages of my written notes, from my morning routine. And one of the key things, like, of my visualization was like when you start your day. So when you start your perfect day, it's typically when you wake up. So I started this perfect day waking up in my comfortable bed, hearing the ocean waves, because I want to live oceanfront. Hearing the ocean, and then like either getting up or moving my head up, depending on the day of this, because every day was a little tweaked, to look at the ocean. So I started off with, like if you have a large master bedroom, you're probably gonna get out of bed to walk over to the balcony and to look at the ocean. That was what I first started off with. But as I progressed each day, it just became, I was waking up, I was reading this, like I woke up in my comfortable bed that cradles me. I had the best night's sleep. And then I like lift up my head to look out to the ocean, and I hear the ocean waves, all that stuff, right? That was how I started each visualization. And then it goes on to throughout the whole day. And I usually fizzle out in the afternoon because I'm not quite sure what else to do because I'm thinking all these things. So it's like a whole thing, right? Okay, so I do that every day. And the day comes that I have to leave for Pismo. So I get in the car and I'm driving. I get, my favorite place to drive along the coast is between basically Ventura and Pismo. So like Santa Barbara is absolutely gorgeous. Like that whole stretch of freeway is really beautiful. And then like as I'm turning from Santa Barbara up, you go through like it's all green. And I'm in such a great mood. I'm very excited to be there. I absolutely freaking love California. I love because there's mountains, there's trees, there's green, there's ocean, there's everything you can imagine. The geography is there. And so I'm just having the time of my life driving through, and I get to Pismo and I check into my hotel, which my hotel room that night was oceanfront. And so great. So that night I'm in my bed and I have my computer and I'm just like chilling out. It's like 8:30 at night. Chilling out. I'm only there for the night. I'm leaving at like noon the next morning to go to San Francisco. So I'm sitting there and I had no plans at all to like look at any places, to do anything. I was there for such a short amount of time. I just wanted to enjoy it. So I sat there and I'm like, I know this is long. And I sat there and I'm like, you know what? I'm here. Well, if I'm here, what if I just like see if there's anything available to look at since I'm here, right? It makes sense. Never thought of it before because I literally didn't have much time to be there. So I sat there and I'm like, I've talked to a bunch of people, landlords, owners of properties and stuff over the last few months looking for a place to rent because we're going to rent. And so I go through my phone and I'm like, who could I contact right now? And so I contacted 3 people, just text messaged them, all 3 people, just to see if they had anything available from what we've talked about before, all that. And I'm like, I'm in town. I'm just wondering if if that unit is available, if it's still available, or if it's whatever, if you have something else, right? And so 2 people got right back to me. One was a realtor, and then another owner. 2 of them got right back to me and said, no, those are rented, sorry. I'm like, okay, cool. The 3rd person didn't get back to me, no big deal. Okay, so the next morning I wake up. Guys, I wake up and I look out the window and there's the ocean. And I sat up in my bed and I thought, holy crap. I woke up to the ocean. It's right there. Like I hadn't thought about it. So the inspired action is really about like doing things without even thinking about why or whatever about them. It's literally about just living your life, and like the hindsight's 2020 and you're like, holy hell, I didn't even notice that I was doing this. And you just do it. So I did not realize that I was going to wake up to the ocean like that, just like I had been writing, 6 days prior or 7 days prior. This is day 7. So I sat there doing the same thing. I'm like, cool. Wow, this is pretty cool. I woke up to the ocean. I could hear it. I opened my door. I can hear it. It's right there. The ocean's really loud, guys. If you ever want to be oceanfront, it is freaking loud, especially at night. It is surprisingly loud. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. When you realize kind of this manifestation, you're like, oh wow, that's really cool. Didn't even notice it. So I did my thing, just like I did, the last 6 days. And so I'm like, okay, so I am going to go walk over to our favorite donut place. There's only one in Pismo. So I was going to walk over. So then I'm like, no, I started walking and then I realized, no, you know what? I'm going to take my car. So I come back from my car and I drive over there and I'm sitting there and I've got this donut. I got my coffee and I have my notebook. Actually, it's right here. This is my notebook from year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. I'm sitting there just having a really good moment. I'm thinking, okay, so it's like 10 a.m. or so. And I'm like, okay, I have like very little amount of time this morning to be here, but there's outlets right next, or like right over the hill. There's a, outlet center, premium outlets. And I'm like, I really want to stop at like Coach or whatever. And so I'm like thinking, okay. And I'm writing So guys, this is January 31st of 2020. And so Abraham, you can check, Abraham's workshop was February 1st, 2020. So this is January 31st, 2020. And I wrote, I love Pismo Beach. It's so amazing. I am meeting great people. I love it. Today is a great day. A great trip to San Francisco. An amazing call with my client. This is just pre-paving basically for the rest of the day. I love being here. My new home, because I felt like I was at home. My new home. I love being here. My new home. I love living here. I love working here. I love going to the beach daily. I love waking up to the ocean view. I love feeling good. I love feeling good. I love doing what I love. I love living life. It feels good to follow my impulses. I like going with the flow. I like and am excited to see what's next. I love it. As I was writing this, I got a text message from the third person that I had texted the night before. And he said, hey, yeah, the unit you were looking at before, through the internet, is rented, but I have another one that you might like. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, hey, so I'm checking out. I got to get on the road because I don't drive at night. So I have to be in San Francisco by a certain time. It's winter. So everything, it sunsets at like 4:30 in California. And so I'm like, okay, as I'm writing this, guys, as I'm writing, I remember this. I remember having my Fruity Pebbles donut sitting here. I have my coffee. I'm feeling good. And I'm like, I love being here. My new home. I love Pismo Beach, my oceanfront home, all this stuff. And he messages me right then. And I'm like, okay, great. And he wasn't ready yet to show it because I'm like, okay. So I had some time where I was waiting. I was waiting for a response from him when I got back to him. So I went over to the outlets. And then I'm waiting for a response. I get a response, and then I head right over. See, this is the part where it's like, it was good that I didn't walk. I went right back for the car, right? Didn't know that I'm going to need the car right away to go, because I was on a time crunch. I had to get out of the hotel at 11 or 12. And so I might have checked out. I think I might have checked out on the way to the house because it was down the street. Because it's a little teeny tiny downtown beach town. So anyway, so I go to the unit. It's a house, and it was the top portion of the house, like a beach house that's been there for 60, 70 years. So it was the top unit of the house. So I get there. We're 3 houses from the ocean, third house from the ocean. See ocean everywhere. So I go up the stairs, and I'm looking around. It's 2-bedroom, everything, right? Ocean view from every window, every single window except for the bathroom. Like you see the pier from the Pismo Pier from the living room, ocean everywhere. And I walk into the bedroom, guys, and they're smaller bedrooms. It's not like my big master bedroom in my imagination where I have to get up to go see the ocean and all that good stuff. So I see it, and I'm like, I see the windows to the ocean and the bed sitting right there. And I'm like, oh my God. And the owners are like, what? I'm like, I've been visualizing this view for the past week. I've been writing it down every day. I've been visualizing this from the bed where you can see the view. The bed was up high. You can see the view. And there it was. I walked right into my manifestation. I was like, I've been doing this. And they're looking at me like, okay. And I'm like, I swear to God, this is so true. So, okay, I gotta go. So I'm like, holy crap, this is an amazing unit. And it wasn't, literally, it's cheaper than most places nowadays, for sure. This was only a year and a half ago. But anyway, the price was incredible. I have to go, so I leave, right? I go up to San Francisco, I come back down, and I stay another night in Pismo. And do I look at it again? No, I don't, but I'm like stalking the place and all this stuff. So I go home and we just communicate. I get the applications because my rule was it had to be easy. It had to be easy because of like rental history and deposits, and you know how things can get kind of costly, or it can be like, you know, you need approvals, you need like all this stuff, right? And so my thing was it has to be an easy move. Like I was looking at Airbnbs for month stays because it needed to be easy for me. So this ended up being really easy and we were approved, and guess what? We moved to that unit February, like it was 2 weeks later. We moved in 2 weeks later, February 13th, 2020. And we were there for about only 3 months because COVID hit. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, so long story short, what I want to take away from this, I know this is a really long story, did not mean to make this so long, but what I believe, looking at it now through the eyes of like Neville Goddard, was that I manifested very specifically the thing that I pinpointed the most in my imagination. Was I woke up in my comfortable bed, which that bed was super comfortable. It was what I wanted to. I wanted like a fabric tufted back, like a headboard, because my headboard here in Arizona is like wood and it's hard and you can't like lay up against it. But that's what I wanted. I wanted the fabric, whatever. So I got that. So here's Neville Goddard's thing about imaginal acts. If you know imaginal acts, it's like a little clip of something, like a scene that you would like to unfold. It's an after you manifest what it is that you want. So if I look back at this whole thing, this whole perfect day, right? I manifested specifically, even better, because actually what I forgot to tell you is even better than what my imagination created, was that I never had to lift my head, because some of the days I say I had to lift my head to peek out the window to see the ocean. The bed and the pillows were arranged in such a way, the level and the windows, where I never had to lift my head at all. I never lift my head. I just had to open my eyes and there was the ocean. And I could hear the ocean. And it was incredible. It was better than my imagination. So that is the piece that I took away from this, is that I imagined that the most, and that's what I got. So I imagined waking up from, waking up and seeing the ocean means that I had moved there, right? The whole like as if, or not as if, but the imaginal act that would happen to prove that your manifestation had come. Does that make sense? So mine was, it wasn't about moving there. It was about waking up there, which meant that I had moved there, right? And I kept doing that every day for 7 days. And I wrote about it every day for 7 days. So, and the whole thing led me right there. And it was just such a perfect manifestation that it's one of my most favorite and most real literal things that I manifested. I mean, I've manifested people like pretty freaking quickly, because now I've learned how to manifest specific people, like SPs. I know how to do that. And it's like stuff I've known, but now I really know that we are doing this all the time, and it's super easy. And so now I can do that more in business. Like I knew it when I was a business coach, that I could tell when people were about to sign up with me. And then I felt this level of confidence of like, oh, that person's going to be my next client. And then they would sign up like that day or the next day. And it was like, well, everyone is you pushed out, or everyone is me pushed out, and it's the whole thing, right? So, so now I'm taken away from this take a specific clip, like Neville Goddard says, all I needed to do was take that one 20-second clip or 30-second clip of waking up, looking at the ocean, and play that over and over and over and over and over every day. That's all I have to do. That's all you have to do. Not go through the whole day or whatever it is. Take one clip that is really important to you, that really excites you, that it's something you really want to happen, that shows that what you want is done. Like it's done, right? So now that's all you have to do. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So one of the things I said, I wanted to wake up to ocean waves, right? The ocean sounds. So one of the nights, probably the beginning of that week, because a lot of times I listen to music in earphones on my phone when I sleep. And one of the things, I went to bed with music and I woke up hearing the ocean waves in my ears. That blew me away for a minute. It really did. I'm not going to lie. So then I decided, oh, you know what? I'm going to listen to ocean waves every morning or every night when I go to sleep and wake up to ocean waves in my ears. Pretty cool, right? It's all the same. It doesn't matter if it's real or fake. And so often when I'm actually living my manifestation, it almost feels not as real as my imagination was. So that's why a lot of times once the manifestation comes, it's like old news, because it's the 3D, right? We'll get into that, but it's the 3D catching up. Your mind's already been there. So it feels like, my imagination was more fun, kind of. I felt that way so many times, especially with the California trips. Like I would imagine them. Well, now we're manifesting Pismo Beach for Christmas. So I'm excited to see how that, I'm manifesting everything for Christmas this year. Like everything. Oh, my phone's going to die. So this was a really long story time, but I find this really, really incredible. So what I ended up doing, so I did this in 7 days. Now I know all this stuff prior to that, telling everybody we're moving to California soon, doing, making the trips to California, getting really excited about being in California, like being there was super helpful in my opinion. Like the law of attraction side of me felt that was really cool. So what I did last year when I wrote some more books, what I ended up doing was creating journals, 30 days of manifesting your success journal. So I put these 30 days together to help others do the exact same 3 things that I did. Now this is what worked for me. So now I'm going to go back to what I did. So I'm going to go back to meditating every morning, doing the visualization, but we're going to do imaginal clips instead, not the full thing. We're going to pinpoint an actual imaginal act and replay it over and over until it feels real. And then I'm going to write about it. So I created these. You can find them on Amazon. It's 90 days worth of days of basically tracking your meditation, your visualization, and then writing. There's a spot to write your vision. So anyway, I wanted to kind of put that in there because I did create these for that reason, that this is what I did to at least manifest that specifically. And so I'm going back to that practice starting tomorrow to move things into place for Christmas, to make sure that I get my Christmas manifestations and then New Year's and then all that. So anyway, so there's that. I'll put the links down below if you want to find them on Amazon. Of course, you don't need to use those. I just thought that they would be pretty cool to have to kind of keep track of that. Or you just use notebooks like I typically do. Anyhow, that's that. I think that's it. Just remember, make an imaginal clip of a very specific moment, like a 30-second moment, that would make it very clear that what it is that you want to manifest is done. Like it makes it done. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but I hope that was helpful. And that's a long video, but I've been looking at it for the last couple of days of like, it's pretty incredible now that I know more about Neville Goddard, how quickly that came in, you know, and also like the more I focused on it, like I did a daily focus, at least in that morning routine, but I know that I visualized it more often, spoke about it more often during the day. Now, I wasn't doing any affirmations or anything like that. Like I was not in the real affirmation mode back then. I was more into feeling good, meditating, thinking positive thoughts around things, but nothing. So now I know to affirm it a lot more, visualize it a lot more, take that imaginal clip, replay it, speak it, all that good stuff. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. If you want coaching, the links are down below. I hope to start that 7-day challenge soon and my VIP group soon. So I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye, guys.